Islanders captain Anders Lee has been named as the winner of a major NHL award. We'll talk about that and a lot more on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Wednesday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you can get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. We've got a lot to discuss on today's show. But first, if there's something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you can email us at lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we discuss whatever it is that's on your mind. You can also follow the show on X at Locked On Isles, and you can follow me, Gil Martin, on X, formerly Twitter, at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all year long. During the offseason, that means hirings, firings, trade rumors, free agency, the draft, and pretty much anything else that's happening in the world of the New York Islanders. So make sure you follow us on Twitter. And always great to talk a little Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. So some good news emerging during Tuesday night. And happy to report that New York Islanders captain Anders Lee has been named the winner of the 2023-2024 King Clancy Memorial Trophy. And that is great news. The Clancy is awarded to, quote, the player who best exemplifies leadership qualities on and off the ice and has made a noteworthy humanitarian contribution in his community. And, you know, I think that it is really great to see Anders Lee win this award. He has been raising money for families impacted by cancer for many years now. And he's involved with an organization called Jam Kancer in the Can, with cancer and can both being spelled with a K. And you can go to their website. They are really committed to raising money for families affected by a cancer diagnosis. And they have all kinds of fundraising events that are organized by Anders Lee, have Islander fans and other teammates of Lee's involved. And, you know, it's just been really great. And, you know, one of the things they do, they toss Frisbees into a slot and into a can, all, again, designed to raise money. And, you know, what that does, and I'm happy to talk about this because, look, let's face it, so often we talk about hockey players or other athletes, and we talk about, you know, trouble that they get into off the ice or off the field or the court or whatever it is, whether a player is getting arrested or getting into trouble. You know, too often people are discussing that. Media is discussing that. And it is nice to be able to talk about and highlight the good things that players do, because more often than not, you know, players are doing different things in the community, but it just doesn't get, it doesn't grab headlines like driving under the influence or making a controversial statement on social media or whatever the case may be. So to me, to be able to highlight what Anders Lee is doing and has been doing for years in the community is truly special. And, you know, he had a very special relationship with uh, Pierre-Louis Fenov. And unfortunately, he passed away uh, from cancer at the age of just 17 back in 2018. And Lee has been awarding what he calls Fenov scholarships to high school seniors who have provided help and sympathy to someone with cancer. So far, uh, 24 scholarships have been awarded. That's almost $50,000 in financial support to help kids go to college. And, it's just a very important thing to do and to acknowledge. Here's the quote from Anders Lee. We wanted to carry on a message that he had of helping kids and families with cancer and making a difference in any way you can. I've been honored to do that for him and to be a part of the Jam Kancer and the Can Foundation and doing some work around Long Island. So congratulations to Anders Lee and to help really perpetuate the memory and the legacy of a child who left us far too soon through no fault of his own. Cancer is one of those things that most of us have no control over. And as someone who has lost loved ones and friends to the disease, I really have to say, Anders Lee doing great work by supporting this organization and raising money and helping people who are helping people with cancer. So, I can you've heard me every dayers many times discussing, okay, Anders Lee, he's not producing enough. He's earning $7 million a year, and he just isn't earning, producing on the ice to that level. And, all of that can be true. But one thing that we should never overlook, the guys on the ice are people, and they do some really good work in the community, because being a professional athlete, a hockey player in this instance, gives them a platform that can enable them to do that and to help in the community. And, Anders Lee has been doing this for several years, and to have him finally get the King Clancy Memorial Trophy, uh, after everything he did with Fenov Pierre-Louis and everything he's done for his charity, Jam Kancer in the Can, it's touching, it's fitting. And these are things that I wish that the media and that society in general would just recognize and pay more attention to, because let's face it, not all professional athletes use the platform that they've been given to make society better. And it could be little things or big things, but congratulations to Anders Lee for what he has done in the community. And regardless of whether he's an Islander for one more month, one more year, 5 years, whatever his future in hockey is, he will always be a part of this community and be recognized for what he accomplished for people as a result, and to help Fenov Pierre-Louis' legacy carry on and impact people even after his untimely death. So, some good news. And hey, look, for what it's worth, it also means the Islanders will not be shut out at the NHL awards. And, got to say that that's a good thing as well. We have got more to discuss on today's show. Some honors for a former Islanders captain and a little evaluation of Islanders fans. Plus, we'll have our player-by-player review of the Islanders. Today we'll have Cal Clutterbuck, and oh yes, for our Islanders' birthday of the day, a defensive forward who finished his career by playing 2+ years on the island. Let's see if you can guess who that is. And yes, he was with the Islanders in the early to mid 90s. All that still to come on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and the NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. And look, Islander fans, you can use your knowledge of the NHL on FanDuel. Go to the app. Check out the odds for who's going to win each of the conference final series, who's going to win the Stanley Cup. You can bet on any individual game. You can get player props for any individual game, or how about betting on who wins the Conn Smythe Trophy as the playoff MVP? You've got NBA playoffs to look at as well. So go to FanDuel.com/locked-on and make every playoff shot count. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, a little news coming from international hockey that is kind of nice. And Kenny Jonsson, former Islanders defenseman and briefly Islanders captain, inducted over the past weekend, on Sunday actually, into the International Ice Hockey Hall of Fame. Now, he was one of 8 people inducted into the hall, and there was another former Islander, although I don't know if Islander fans will be as excited about the other player, but we'll talk about that too. But Jonsson inducted into the IIHF Hall of Fame. His quote, "It's a great honor and with enormous pride that I stand here today. That my name would be associated with the very best players of all time is a little unreal to me. My motto was to have fun on the ice and do my very best every time I put my skates on." Now, remember, this award is for international competition and Olympics and all of that. And he represented Sweden at the Winter Olympics 3 times. 2 of them, he won gold. His brother, Jörgen Jonsson, who also spent 1 season or most of 1 season with the Islanders, also ended up winning gold medals alongside Kenny. And look, he was in Lillehammer, France back in 1994 and won a gold again in 2006 at Torino in Italy. So that was great. And then in 2004, 2005, he ended up playing, back in his home country, but to finish out his professional career. And then in 2006, back to the Olympics, where he was voted best defender of the tournament. Now, Mike Milbury acquired Jonsson in a deal with the Maple Leafs back in March of 1996 that sent Matthew Schneider and Wendell Clark back to Toronto. And the Islanders also got a first-round pick, which they used to select Roberto Luongo, who they only unfortunately held on to for 1 season. Again, he was an all-star in 1999, had the captaincy for 2 years before giving it to Michael Pekka in 2001, and he's a member of the Islanders Hall of Fame since February 11th, 2012. Now, the other honorees: Natalie Darwitz of the United States, Jaromir Jagr from Czechia, Kelgor Liba from Slovakia, Petteri Numelin from Finland, Yaroslav Puzar from Czechia, Mel Davidson of Canada, a builder, and oh yeah, the other Islander-related inductee, Ryan Smith, who was inducted back in 2020, but because of COVID, did not show up to accept that honor until this year. And obviously, Smith, who only played, you know, a handful of games for the Islanders and then left despite the Islanders making a higher offer in free agency, may not have, Islander fans may not have as warm and fuzzy feelings for Ryan Smith as they do for Kenny Jonsson. But congratulations to Jonsson and to Smith and to all the other inductees. And just, again, great to see a former Islander and a former Islander captain, no less, receive that kind of an honor. Meanwhile, one other thing, the Bridgeport Islanders announced 6 home definite dates. And this is something the AHL does that sort of helps them sell tickets and promote games for the coming season. So those 6 dates, the home opener for the Bridgeport Islanders will be October 12th. Then they'll have definitely home games November 23rd, which is part of the Thanksgiving weekend, January 18th, February 15th, and then March 8th and March 22nd. Now, we don't know who the opponents are going to be yet. All we know is that the Bridgeport Islanders will be playing home games on those dates, and you can go to their website, bridgeportislanders.com, to check out more details about ordering tickets. Meanwhile, there was a poll done about which fan base in the NHL is the most hostile, and they ranked them from most to least. So out of 32 fan bases, the New York Islanders ranked, drumroll please, 31st in the league, the second least hostile group of fans. And again, keep in mind that hostile is not, it doesn't mean quiet. If you're not hostile, it doesn't mean you're not passionate. It just means you're, not aggressive necessarily, not starting fights with opposing fans, not being obnoxious. Now, look, anyone who's heard Islander fans sing to the song of the chicken dance, they know that Islander fans can certainly express their dissatisfaction with certain other teams. And certainly former Islander John Tavares is very well aware of the Islander fans' hostility. But, overall, Islander fans tend to be a little classier, a little more positive. And if they're going to be negative, maybe it's taking out their frustrations on their own team rather than getting into fights or being obnoxious to opposing fans. If you're curious, by the way, the Rangers ranked 3rd in the league in this category. Chicago Blackhawks fans were a little more violent than Ranger fans, according to this one. Oh, yeah, the team that ranked below the Islanders, who was the least aggressive fan base, the Ottawa Senators, with the Islanders had an 8.3% rating. The Senators only 5.5. So I don't think this is a negative. I think, being 31st out of 32 fan bases, as far as aggression is concerned, if you want to say passionate, I'd be upset if we were 31st as for the Islanders organization. And for Islander fans, I know how passionate Islander fans are. I've sat outside the Nassau Coliseum waiting for playoff tickets overnight with Islander fans, and over the years, I know how great my listeners and viewers are, and how passionate they are. But aggressive and hostile, I'm fine with the Islanders being 31st. All right, we have got more to get to on today's show. We'll continue our player-by-player review of the Islanders season with Cal Clutterbuck. Plus, we'll have our Islanders birthday of the day and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So, again, we continue our player-by-player look at the Islanders season. Today, it's Cal Clutterbuck, everydayers. Yesterday, we talked Adam Pelech. We've done Pierre Engvall, Brock Nelson, Kyle Palmieri, Ilya Sorokin, Oliver Wahlstrom. We've been doing this for 2.5 weeks now, and we'll continue until we've analyzed every player who played at least one game with the New York Islanders this season. Cal Clutterbuck, well, lots to say about Clutter. Clearly, at this point in his career, he is, slowing down a little bit. Played in 82 games for the first time in his 17 NHL season. So that was great. Reached the 1,000 game milestone for his career. Scored 7 goals, 19 points, and 32 penalty minutes on the season, and he was a +4 this year. Now, last year he had 6 goals in 49 games, so obviously the scoring pace is less. The shots on goal are less per game. He had 44 in just 49 games a year ago, 59 shots on goal in 82 games. This year, again, hits 273. That's still a great number. Blocked 55 shots. That is, by the way, a new career high. And again, with Cal Clutterbuck, you're getting veteran leadership, but his penalty kill play seemed to decline a little bit, and he's slowing down at this stage in his career. So, he's an unrestricted free agent. He's 36 years old, will turn 37 this November. Wore the A on his sweater for good reason. What he's given the New York Islanders organization over the last 11 seasons has been impressive. Being a part of the identity line, AKA the best fourth line in hockey, he really did help set the tone for the Islanders, both on the ice and in the locker room. But as an unrestricted free agent, I think it's kind of time for the New York Islanders to move on from him. Now, would it shock me if Lou Lamoriello brings him back on a 1 or 2 year deal? No. Do I think he should at this point? No. Do I respect Cal Clutterbuck for everything he's done for this organization and for this team over the last decade plus? Absolutely. It just really becomes a question now of, Lou Lamoriello making that decision. I think it would be great if Cal Clutterbuck wants to be active in the organization going forward, that the Islanders, either he and or Matt Martin could could find jobs in the organization, but I don't think they should be back as players. Now, Clutterbuck did indicate at Getaway Day that he, A, does not intend to retire right now, and B, would like to continue to play for the New York Islanders. We'll see what Lou Lamoriello decides to do on or before July 1st. July 1st, of course, being when free agency gets started. But Cal Clutterbuck, going to be a tough decision for the Islanders this year. Clutter, by the way, 11 minutes and 53 seconds of ice time. That is his lowest number since 2015, 2016. And the third lowest average ice time per game of his career, not including a 2-game stint in 2007, 2008 with Minnesota. So clearly the ice time going down, even though he did managed to thankfully stay healthy and play in all 82 games this year. So Cal Clutterbuck, we'll see if he's back next season. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day, and today is the 61st birthday of former Islanders center Claude Loisel. The Ottawa native, drafted in the second round by the Red Wings back in 1981, played 4 games for Detroit in 81-82 and scored his first NHL goal. Later played for the New Jersey Devils, the Quebec Nordiques, and the Toronto Maple Leafs before joining the Islanders late in the 1991-92 season. Played with the Islanders in 92-93, played in all 18 playoff games during that big 1993 playoff run to the conference final, and then closed out his career in 93-94 with the Islanders. Loisel, never a big goal scorer, never topped 17 goals in any NHL season, only had 7 goals as an Islander. So, not a big goal getter. 92 goals and 209 points in 616 career games, 1,146 penalty minutes, add 4 goals and 15 points in 41 playoff games, including 3 assists in 1993 with the Islanders. One of Claude Loisel's better games as an Islander, November 28th, 1992 at the Nassau Coliseum. Division matchup with the Philadelphia Flyers. Stefan Beauregard, the goalie for Philly. Glenn Healy, the Islanders netminder in this game. And with the score, 3-1 Islanders, Claude Loisel sets up Brad Delgarno midway through the game to make it 4-1 in favor of the Islanders. And then Loisel in the third period scores a goal of his own. Jeff Norton and Vladimir Malakov with the assist. Islanders crush the Flyers by a final score of 9-3. Good game in goal for Glenn Healy. He made 33 saves. But for Claude Loisel, our Islanders birthday of the day, he had a goal. He had an assist. He was a +2 in this game. And had 5 shots on goal, which, by the way, tied him for the team lead with Pierre Turgeon and Steve Thomas. Not often that Claude Loisel led the Islanders in shots on goal in too many games, but he had 5 in this game and was productive with a 2-point night. So happy birthday to Claude Loisel. He is our Islanders birthday of the day. I want to thank everyone for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day, everydayers. Tomorrow on the show, we will continue our player-by-player look at the Islanders season, talk about the role the player played, what their role would be going forward if they are with the team. Obviously, for Cal Clutterbuck, by the way, if he does return, he'll still be a fourth-line guy and play the same role he's played for the better part of a decade with this team. So tomorrow we'll talk a little about Robert Bortuzzo. So make sure you join us for that. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.